Hey, how's this for a marketing idea? Create some unique quality content that your prospects will love. Then bypass the internet and instead print it on paper and mail it to those who may one day want to buy from you. Oh, imagine that.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You're a motivated business owner. Yeah. Ready to crank out some great marketing in order to build that baby of yours into the empire it deserves to be. If you are new to the show, this is your first time around, welcome. Stick with it. It's good, I promise. If you're not new, if you've been around a while, thank you. And a big warm welcome to you too. Hey, interesting show today. Big show. Bit old school. As you can tell from my little opener, we're in for a bit of a wacky interview. We're joined by Brian Hight. He's a very old school print publisher who creates very successful printed publications for niche audiences in New Zealand. He's actually been awarded the Queen's Honours for his contribution to publishing in New Zealand. So he knows a thing or two, and he's been doing it for a while. Decades, actually. I think he might be the oldest guest I've had on the show. A true gentleman. And I've got a motivational marketing quote from a very emotional marketer. So as you can see, big show. Brought to you by the very good folk at Netregistry, who are there to get your online marketing sorted. So if it is bamboozling you a little bit, go and use them. Head over to netregistry.com.au/Timbo and you'll get some very exclusive listener packages, including a do-it-for-me website design and development package, $79 a month, and you get your website sorted. Got to love that. Hey, we're also brought to you by the good folks at 99 Designs. You can head over there, 99designs.com/Timbo. You will get a $99 upgrade to your brief, which means lots more designers from around the world will compete to give you a design you love. So if you've got any marketing touch point you need sorted, well, I'd be heading over there right now. As per usual, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at the Small Business Big Marketing HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
Hey, last episode, Paul Newenhouse, that eBay master. Great feedback. Thank you for the tweets on that. No, not too many comments in the show notes, I got to say, but I'm just going to let that go because I see the amount of downloads and I know you're listening. You're just not commenting. You're too busy implementing, aren't you? But I did say in that last interview that I would put a link to a blog post that Paul wrote for you to go and have a read. And I forgot to give you the link to that. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/hooked online and you'll read this wonderful blog post that Paul sent me. He didn't know it was a blog post. It was kind of like his bio, but it's just a wonderful insight into his journey into becoming a very successful e-commerce business, you know, and how he set the whole eBay thing up and goes into even more detail than the interview. So smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/hooked online. Go and check that out. Hey, a big thank you to Kel Hennessy. Kel, you sent me those lovely leather products a few weeks ago, and I want to thank you for that. And she seeded me. Yeah, she seeded me. She sent me stuff. I love being sent stuff. Lovely little leather wallet and leather coin case. And Kel's got a business called Chickadee Boo with a double T, chickadeeboo.com, where she sells leather products for little creatures, little cats and little dogs. Love that. So go and check her out. And, big week for me this week. Moving house. Been just cleaning out the last couple of days, chucking stuff out. Anything I haven't looked at, touched, referred to in the last 12 months, Gonski. Yeah, it's been quite cleansing. It's been a little bit stressful in a way because I don't like throwing things out, but I have done that. Even sold a few things on eBay, hey? Testing what I'm practicing what I'm preaching. So that's all been very good, and move house this week. So kind of looking forward to getting settled into the new place, because I'm kind of wondering how the podcast is going to sound going forward. Different room, different acoustics, who knows? But what I have learned is that it is good to throw stuff out. So if you're a bit of a hoarder, you're sitting on stuff, you're not getting around to it, if you haven't touched it for 12 months, a marketing idea, business idea, whatever it is, chuck it out. Anyway, that's my week. Let's get on with the show. Righto, today's guest is a fellow by the name of Brian Hight, and he was referred to me by a long-time listener, first-time caller, Leonard Hight. Leonard is Brian's nephew. And he sent me this note a few weeks ago. He said, "Hey, Timbo, been listening to your podcast a while, and I'm hooked, going through listening backwards." Hope you're not listening to the episodes backwards, just like, I think I know what you mean, Leonard. Gotcha. And he's up to episode 112. We've got some surprises in store for you, Leonard. He writes me this note. He says, "I would suggest you interview my uncle Brian, as he's been a content marketing guru successfully for the past 40-odd years. Before it was even kind of, trendy. He founded Farm Equipment News in 1974, which he sold some years later, and now he's got the Rural News Group in New Zealand, and he's got publications and they're printed publications for the farmers, for dairy farmers, for wine growers in New Zealand. In fact, Brian sat his high school certificate twice, as he failed the first time, and on the second attempt, he got a lower mark than his first time. I love these success stories of people who haven't quite graduated from their schooling but have gone on to do wonderful things. Leonard says Brian often jokes when people are having problems in their career or business that their problem is that they may well be overqualified. Got to love that. I think you'll find this a very refreshing chat. Very much offline, let me tell you. I sort of mention online every now and then, but he is very much an old school kind of marketer, is Brian. I started off by asking him, what was he like as a young boy?
What was it like? Well, I was fairly active sporting-wise, interested in sport, probably sport before schooling, and then moved on to the family farm eventually after that. So dairy farming for a few years, and then dairy farm with my brother until about 1970.
You grew up pretty much on a dairy farm. I mean, you weren't born a publisher. You weren't born a business owner, were you?
No. At that stage there, most kids were considered, if they were brought up on a farm, that they would go farming. So education wasn't something that was pushed down our throats. So when I finally left, for various reasons, I went to Auckland City, because there's probably more jobs there than anywhere else, but I ended up in a publishing company for about 12 months, 18 months.
What was the conversation like to your dad, who I'm imagining back then, farmers were very, you're a farmer, once a farmer, always a farmer, and you're telling your old man that you're not going to run the farm, you're going to head off to the big smoke.
Well, I didn't have to tell him because he was long gone. So I didn't have to have that conversation, but I did have to have it with...
What about Mum?
She wasn't too worried. The farm advisors and those sorts of people questioned me harder than anybody else, why I was doing it. Mm-hmm. So I just felt that was what I had to do, so we just up and left, which was I don't know why.
Yeah, right.
Which is, you're driven to it, and so off we go.
So you go to Auckland, you get into publishing. You're how old are you?
I'm around about 30.
Okay. Well, you're not a young bloke at this point in time.
I've been younger, yes, I have.
So you get there, you're 30 years old, you spend some time in publishing, and then, because what I really want to understand, what I want our listeners to get a sense of is the fact that you live in a very old world. And I say that with the utmost respect, because the world of marketing today is so virtual. And it's very rare that we have a conversation with someone who is printing good quality content in a, I don't know what you're going to call a newsletter or a newspaper, magazine type format, giving it away for free and building a little empire from it.
Well, it happened about the company I worked for briefly. They were involved with B2B publications, which are magazines, so business to business. Mm. And I broke away and looked at that format and said, well, in the farming community, they don't have that. They only have a number of subscription publications. Mm-hmm. And they don't have any communication for the business people to their target market, which is all farmers. So that's when I started a publication called Farm Equipment News, mainly focused on new products and things.
So this is a printed publication. You've
Newspaper, tabloid
newspaper
format. Yeah.
You've left your employment to start this on your own.
Yes.
You have gone the subscription. What was wrong with the subscription model? There's money in it.
Well, there is money in it, but it doesn't reach the whole market. So the cell that I went with, the marketing cell I went with, you're interested in the whole farming market, which is farms of over 10 acres. NZ Post can provide a service of delivering unaddressed to that whole market. And I based it on selling to people that you come with us, we will guarantee that you reach your market. You cannot guarantee to reach a market with a subscription publication because it doesn't go to everybody.
You could tap the New Zealand Post Office on the shoulder and get them to deliver your newspaper for free, unaddressed, but for free?
Yes. Not for free. No, I had to pay for it.
Oh, you had to pay.
It was free to the farmers.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty good. I imagine cheap distribution. Everyone's getting it. They do say, and here is where I'm interested in the challenge of quality content, because I imagine even back then, people take from their letterbox and stand over their rubbish bin and drop all the junk mail in. How do you avoid that from happening?
Content. So the key thing is, and the argument is between freebies and paid-for publications. The only difference is the content. If you've got content and compelling content in your publication, nobody's going to toss it out. They're going to read it. So the key thing that we have, Focus and I talk to people frequently about it, we must have something of interest to every farmer in the country, every issue. So something of real interest so that they will open up every time. And the rural news is fortnightly. So every 2 weeks they get the publication. And it's somewhere between 48 and 60 pages. And the content is totally relevant to farming.
There's the content marketing in the modern marketing world is a bit of a catchphrase these days. You know, everyone's off creating content, whether it be on video or like I'm creating content now on this podcast with you. And the challenge is to maintain the integrity of the content, the quality of the content, because there's no shortage of content, right? You know, like that's for sure. So what do you do at the Rural News Group what have you done for the last 40 years to ensure the quality is there?
Well, I employ journalists. We have about four journalists in the main office and journalists around the country as well, plus some contributors. So we go and dig our content. We don't just find press releases and take statements and rework the first paragraph and run it in the paper. We don't do that. Mm-hmm. All our content we generate all our content. And in doing that, we lead the news in a lot of cases.
So you've got journos on staff. Contributors is a great strategy because that's effectively going out to others whose work you respect. You pay them by the word.
You pay them by the word.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you figure out how do you figure out what the farmer really wants to hear? Because you deal in very niche industries. You've got a wine publication, you've got a dairy farming publication, you've got a rural publication. How do you know what they want?
Well, the first thing is to know the market, know our readers. And we know what we believe we know what our readers want. They want to know about their industry. They want to know the politics of what's happening. They want to know what's affecting them, what's affecting the returns that they get. They want to know we run agribusiness section, which just shows what's happening in the agribusiness so that they can...
How do you know all this? I mean, it's kind of an obvious question, but are you doing outbound research calls? Are you receiving a lot of email and phone calls from your readers?
No, our journos are in touch with farmers. We're in touch with farmers and talking to them all the time, and we get feedback from them, so we know what they are wanting. And then the rest of our content, how we get our content, is we have very good relationships with the key people in the industry right through. Head of Federated Farmers, right. The Minister, we have direct lines. We can call the ministers direct. The heads of the governments, Fonterra and all that, the heads of Fonterra talk to us. So our people have developed contacts over the years.
Brian, am I ever going to open up one of your publications and be confronted with that horrific thing called an advertorial?
Advertorial? What we do is, no, and we have a news section, and that there's nothing that can be classed as advertorial in that section at all, unless it's about a company like Wrightson's or something, and they've done something spectacular. Well, that'll be a news piece, not an advertorial. We do have pieces, we do run sections on machinery. Now, if it's new machinery and if it's of interest to our readers, we'll run it, but we write it. We don't, it's not handed in to us. We write it. Or we do it this way by saying, well, tell us where it's being demonstrating. We'll have a journo go out to the farm and he'll run the story from there. But we control the content.
Massive difference. Now, here's an interesting question. If you were going to start the Rural News Group today, knowing what you know, you've been the last 40 years, you've been putting out a print publication. Now this thing called the internet, publishing so much easier, distribution's free. What would you do?
How would I start it? Well, I'd identify my market for a start.
Well, no, more to the point. Would you do what you've already done? Would you you would do a printed publication, or would you embrace the internet?
Well, at the moment, I would do the printed publication, and we're still looking for other publications. As Fairfax and Co drop them off, we'll pick them up.
Wow!
Because it's different. See, people think, and probably your view as well, by the sound of it, that the print media is dead. It's all digital.
No, people do. I don't. I don't find a lot. I bought the newspaper today over breakfast, which I very rarely do. My wife said, "Oh, you bought the newspaper," as if like we just don't do that. And sure enough, I was kind of left disappointed. You know.
Well, you know what's happened with the dailies, with the Fairfaxes. They've got the whole thing wrong. The digital came out, and they all were convinced that digital's the way to go. Papers are dying. So what they have is the papers actually are their income. They don't get the digital can't
generate the same ad revenues.
Generate the same revenue. You just can't do it. But the stupid thing the dailies have done, they have their paper and they pay for their content, and they've got journos running around the place, and they put it all together, then and sell it in a newspaper. But before the newspaper's out, they put it online on their digital platform for free. Yeah. Now, you tell me what business will survive if your content, your product, something that you produce, is given away free. How do you make money out of that? There's nothing for free in the world.
It's tough. And I guess what you have done, and I'm sure that part of your argument with Rural News Group is that you're dealing with farmers. I find it hard to believe no one's on the internet, but I'm sure you're going to say farmers aren't as on the internet as much as other people. But is that really the case? I mean...
Yeah, no, they're on the internet. We're on the internet. We have a digital platform for the paper.
Is it a token gesture, or is it something you put a lot of effort into?
We update news stories, but we put the total paper on, so you actually page through the publication itself online.
Zoom in and zoom out.
Yes, and the ads are also getting exposure on the digital format. In the daily papers, the ads in the daily paper don't get any exposure in the digital format. It's different ads. And that's what we've stuck to, and we believe, so we've got people who want to read it online digitally, they can. But the key to them wanting to read our papers is that we have unique content. It is not content that everybody else has got.
And you're not going to find it anywhere else, right? I get that. So just to be clear, if you were starting the paper today, you would still go down the path primarily of a printed publication and not an online publication.
I'll tell you that the key to that is if you print a publication and you distribute it free to a targeted market, you reach that market. If you go online, you don't reach that market. You are reliant on people making an effort and digitally opening it up and checking it out and reading it. Now, as soon as you go online, you're bombarded by all sorts of things. When you at home, we get the paper delivered every day. So the paper's delivered, it goes in, sits on the table, and the coffee, you can spill the coffee over it, do whatever you like over it. Just flick it over. It's a leisurely type read.
Yep.
Where the digital form, you have to go. You've got to open up. You've got to find it. You've got to go through the maze of everybody else trying to flog your stuff. No, the paper's so easy.
Hey, I'm speaking with Brian Hight, founder of New Zealand's most successful rural publications. Before I ask Brian a little bit more about how he goes about creating content, here's a brief word from our sponsors. Support for this show comes from 99 Designs, where dozens of designers compete to deliver a fast, affordable design you'll love. Speaking of love, their big cheese, Patrick Llewellyn, recently compared 99 Designs to a dating site.
We really think of contests almost like the dating paradigm. You go to a nightclub, it's noisy, there's a lot of people to meet, you get to meet a lot of people, and if you're lucky, at the end of that process, you might meet someone, right? And then you go on and have dates. And so a contest is kind of like that paradigm. You put up your proposal, lots of designers submit their ideas, and then you start to whittle down to a few of the ones that really resonate with you. And then ultimately you pick one of them, and once you've picked that one designer, the chances of you going on to work with that designer to get other things designed is actually very high.
99 Designs, where love is in the air. For a free $99 upgrade on your first design, visit 99designs.com/Timbo.
Get on Timbo's mailing list over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Support for this show comes from Netregistry. Recently, I was Skyping it up with Verity Ma, their Chief Marketing Officer, when the line deteriorated. She thought it may be because she had loads of browsers open. At which point I'm like, why so many browsers?
Well, because websites appear differently on different browsers. So if I run multiple, then I can get a sense of how our websites are tracking across different browsers and customers' websites.
Netregistry, where attention to detail rules. Visit netregistry.com.au/Timbo for a website that works on, well, all browsers. You've got a group of digital natives that are these, people below 30.
Yes.
As they enter the marketplace, are they still going to want a print magazine? Are we going to have this same conversation in 10 years' time?
Well, if they want to read it, they can read it online.
Yeah, okay. So
So it's available to them online if they want to.
Yeah. There is...
But from what our research is, what we've seen, that if it's delivered, the farmer's not going to say, oh, bugger this, I'll throw it in the bin, I'll read it online.
Not going to do it.
No, they're going to spread it out like you did this morning.
Yeah, that's right. And I can start a fire with it next week.
Yeah.
Can't do that with my iPad.
Not for a while. With ours, not for a while. It takes a little bit of time before you want to burn it.
Yeah, right. Hey, there is a great saying which came to mind hearing you speak, Brian, which is when everyone else is shouting, you whisper. And it feels like that's what you're doing, because I wouldn't suggest that the space you're operating in is quiet, but there'd be a lot less printed competition than there would be online, virtual competition.
That's true. Yes, we've got, in New Zealand here, we've got Fairfax. I've been fighting Fairfax for decades.
Do you love it? Do you love the fight?
Oh, yeah, it's good. It's when you produce a paper, you can make a difference.
Yeah.
And there's many times we've made differences. Going back to that, but just the marketing thing and the digital versus the paper, we've had people that come to us say, oh, we're not going to use your paper this year, we're going digitally with our marketing. Some of those are coming back now. This year we've had 2 good clients have come back already on just a couple of months ago. It's not working. The digital is not getting the cut through that a paper does.
How do they know that? These are advertising clients, are they?
Phones don't go.
Right. Are they using a different number in their ads, in their printed ad to their digital ad? Because digital's so easy to measure.
Yes, it is. But you can measure a paper when it comes out on a Tuesday, and the phones go. And a lot of them ask, "How do you know about us?" or "Why you're applying?" or "Why you're ringing?" And they get that. They have that feedback. We're monitored by every person trying to monitor us.
I imagine you have had some very long-standing advertisers that have propped the paper up for many years. What's your years? What's your secret besides quality content to keeping them on side?
We provide our sales team. We are not phone jockeys. okay, we do the emailing and the phoning on times, but we front up. We front up a lot to people, and we build a pretty personal relationship, and that's what selling is. Selling, you've got to be comfortable with the person you're dealing with, and that's what we emphasise with ours. Our people are out there talking to the guys. They socialise with them. They know their families. We know they all support the All Blacks, and that's how we do it. And it's at a personal level. Now, ad agencies try to jump in between that. So we deal with the ad agency. So about 50% of our business is ad agency business, but we still deal with the clients. The agencies don't necessarily like it, but we still have a profile with the clients.
Yeah, that's difficult.
And that's you've got to know who your market is, and you've got to talk to them. You've got to know them.
Yeah, getting to the client, getting through what I call the Dobermans, the agency, and getting straight to the decision maker. That's what you want. What's your biggest? What's the business's biggest win? And it doesn't necessarily need to be in size, Brian, but over the last 40 years, was there a day or a moment where you have just looked at it and gone, "You bloody ripper"?
No, I can't actually define that because it's
too many.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of wins we have getting big clients. The big wins that we have now, when people, because things are tightening up a wee bit now, is when people say, right, we're going with you alone instead of spreading. But those are great wins that we have.
That's a wonderful.
That's a great win.
Wonderful confirmation, isn't it?
Yes, we're before, and ad agencies, what ad agencies do to cover their backsides, they'll spread it everywhere. We've got a bit of digital, we'll have a bit of radio, and we'll chuck the 2 or 3 papers around, and so they've got their backsides covered.
Yeah, but, I've got a couple of sponsors, 99 Designs and Netregistry, a couple of companies that sponsor this show, and both of them at points in time have said, we've looked around at all the podcasts and in Australia, and we've chosen yours as the one that we're going to associate with, and that was back when they started. 99 Designs have spread their wings a bit further, but it's a great accolade.
That's a good buzz. That's worth a wine with mum at night time, isn't it?
Maybe not mum. I'll go with my missus instead. Hey,
your missus.
Tell me, just to finish up, Brian, because you did get the Queen's Birthday Honours for your services to agricultural publishing, which is a mighty big honour 2 or 3 years ago. Now, first of all, do I have to call you sir, or didn't quite?
No.
And how'd that feel? You're a humble bloke, I'm guessing, but
it was totally unexpected when it turned up.
Was it?
I got it mainly because I had to work through the government and postal systems to get them to include the category that I wanted to go to the farmers.
Mm-hmm. That would have been fun.
I had to lobby. I might say that I've tried the same in Australia many years ago and since, right. But Australia Post are not interested. They're not interested in the money.
We're much tougher over here, Brian. Tell me, you said that the Queen's Birthday Honours it was a surprise. I mean, was that a phone call or a letter? What
a letter.
Was it?
Yeah.
Just arrived?
A letter. Just a letter from the Governor-General.
Goodness me. Yes. Someone's opened it for you. Hey, Mr. Hight, it looks like the Queen is happy with what you're doing.
She's happy, yes. I didn't realise she knew me.
That's wonderful. Did you get a letter after your name or something?
Oh, well, yes, ONZM is what the title I have.
Goodness me, we're amongst royalty. What about when you go to London? Do you get to stay at the palace or?
I'll expect to do that next time I'm there. Yes, I'll expect that.
Brian, thank you for sharing, mate. We talk a lot, as I said during the show, a lot about the virtual world, and I do think that from my listeners, who are vets and plumbers, right? They're people who own bricks and mortar businesses, and they spend a lot of time with their marketing stressing about whether they should be, I've heard that Facebook's good and I need a website and I need to, do some video, but I think, I'd love to hear from more who are actually embracing the print media and creating really good quality content on a regular basis.
Yes. Well, the one key that I use to demonstrate is that when FM radio came out, AM was going to die. It didn't. When TV came out, radio was going to die. It didn't. When videos came out, the movie theatres were going to die. But they haven't, because they just part of the mix, and each of those mediums, they adapt. Okay, some of them are killed off. A post has lost a lot with letters turning to emails rather than postage letters and things, but you get quite a bit. But in a lot of cases, the media, it develops and changes and goes with it.
I'm seeing this. I'm a bit biased because I'm a podcaster. Is this the first podcast you've been on?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what a podcast is?
Yes, I do.
So,
yes, I do.
Radio on demand, digital file that lives on your website. I'm watching radio right now, and I don't think radio is adapting at the rate at which podcasting is becoming more popular. So I think it's an interesting thing to watch. Just from my personal view, you've watched it from a mass print media to a niche print media, and I'm watching it radio versus podcasting, and I think it's a very exciting time.
It amazes me. Radio in the news bulletin, if you want to know more, go to our website, right? Go away from it. We don't turn the radio off and go somewhere else. TV's the same.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, go to our website, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're saying, well, so you want me to turn it off and not watch your ads that's paying your wages and go somewhere else?
Yeah.
I find that bizarre.
Well, so do I. I mean, I must say that in this show, each episode of this show, I'm going to direct people to my website because I want them to, there'll be a link to the rural news. There'll be a beautiful photo of a mugshot of your shining dial.
I'm sorry about that. But you're not asking them to switch you off now.
Oh, no.
That's what the others do.
Correct. No, I would ask them to just hang around, just stick with us a little bit longer. But I also, I think one of the great things about the marketing landscape these days is that there are a lot of options. So there's good and bad to being able to send people off to other parts of your brand. But in total, I think the listener, from my point of view, is getting a much richer experience by being able to listen and then go to the website and see me on video maybe sometimes, although I've got a great head for radio, let me tell you, Brian. But anyway, mate, I've loved chatting to you, Sir Brian Hight of the Rural News Group.
Back off.
Normally I ask my guests what their Twitter handle is so that my listeners can contact them, but I'm not going to bother.
No, I don't have a Twitter account.
No, what a gentleman is Brian. What a lovely guy, and good to have that offline chat, don't you think? We live in such a virtual world. I want to share my top 3 learnings from that fireside chat, thanks to the very good guys at 99designs.com/Timbo, free $99 upgrade, or yours, and the good folk at netregistry.com.au/Timbo, who will get your online marketing sorted with some very cool exclusive listener packages. Learning number 1, seriously consider creating a printed publication. As I said, when everyone else is shouting, maybe consider whispering. Learning number 2, no matter what content you're creating, create quality content. I like how Brian called it compelling content. No shortage of content, so make sure that the content you're creating is engaging, maybe entertaining, but at least make it helpful. Learning number 3, you don't have to do it all. Consider employing contributors. I like Brian, how he's got some journos on staff, but he also looks for contributors. I personally get a lot of emails from people saying, hey, can I guest post on your blog? And there's certainly no shortage of people who want to contribute. So if you put it out there, maybe through your social media channels, asking for people to contribute and help you create content, you may well be surprised at what comes back. They're my 3 learnings. What were yours? Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Look for episode 276. Just put it in the search box and go on. Let me know what you thought. Leave a comment in the show notes. I read them all. I love them. It makes me feel loved. It makes me think, yeah, there's people listening. Go on, do it now. John C. Maxwell once said, people may hear your words, but they will feel your attitude. Plenty of marketing gold coming your way, team. In coming episodes, I have a chat with a craft beer retailer, the founder of a very cool bar that's nailing Twitter, and a pop-up store success story. Haven't had a pop-up store conversation on the show, so looking forward to that. Hey, be sure to use Netregistry if you need a website or to get your website found. Head over to netregistry.com.au/Timbo. And if you need something designed, anything, book cover, car wrap, brochure, logo, business card, whatever, then grab your free $99 design upgrade over at 99designs.com/Timbo. Audio production for this show is done by the world's best audio guy, Daryl Misson. And Music Bed is written and produced by rock god Lockie Doley. Hey, if you need a speaker, I'm all yours. Head over to timreid.com.au. Book me for your upcoming conference next year, or if you know someone who's got one coming up, let them know about me. If you want to surround yourself with motivated business owners, join me inside the forum. Crankmymarketing.com is where you'll find the registration page, and you'll be in there within a minute. $69 a month, and you will love it. Hey, until next week, I'm Timbo Reid. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.